we went to Arniston and we had to go find a story. So we went to all the coffee shops, all the hotels, spoke to all the people, made a lot of phone calls, and ended up with Raymond and Johnny.
And we're two really strong characters. One that was healed, having an accident, been healed through being an artist and spending his time at the sea, and the other was reformed Johnny Appels. Raymond was the artist, Johnny was ex-convict. I don't think anyone really understands where it was. It was really on a sort of outcrop in the middle, the most southern part of Africa. When you look at, Cape Agulhas, it's right there. Arniston is right close by. So we're really in the middle of nowhere. We're to follow around this guy who, although he was 54, was probably fitter than both of us, and we very young. And he just kept us on the toes all the time. We had to run over rock boulders. We had to get wet while he was trying to catch fish. We had to walk for miles with big packs on, and there's no such thing as a steady shot. It was always running around with equipment, trying to run ahead, which was almost impossible. I think the Arniston film was like all films, I suppose, where you have an idea on making a certain type of film, and you arrive in a place and you have an idea and you have a couple of characters, and things change rapidly while shooting, and you end up with a totally different story to what you originally envisaged. We soon found that although we did a lot of montage of the two of them together, and Raymond also was a very strong character, we thought that because we only had 24 minutes to make, we couldn't do either of them justice if we included both. So we started with Johnny because he was more sort of charismatic, and it just ended up working so well that we knew that if we included Raymond, it would only take away from the story. I mean, the story was a challenge. Here's a guy who warmed up to us only after a while, but he's multifaceted, tattoo-ridden.
Really, there's more ripped than both of us put together.
Yeah, both of us. He's 54 and he's got serious six-pack. But he's
a machine.
Yeah, we really became friends with him.
What I really like about this film is we didn't have to fabricate, we didn't have to ask him to do certain things. What we shot was actual events that were just cut together into sequences.
He really does have that indigenous knowledge that he just knows where everything is.
I take people as I find them, and I found, in fact, Johnny is a very helpful, generous, cooperative fella, and I help him where I can.
At the beginning, he really held his cards quite close to his chest, and he wouldn't really tell us the real stories and, why he landed up in jail.
I saw the film, and it appeals to me because that Johnny Appels is the kind of character that is the subject of my songs. His life story there could be one of my songs, and so I had a tremendous empathy for what you were doing, and I felt that my music would go really well with it. So we needed to find a solution, to get this kind of sound onto your film.
Did we think we'd have David Kramer on the film?
No.
Johnny Appels, he himself. You see that in him. The man has a tremendous spirit. He's a philosopher as well. He's learned from the sea. The sea speaks to him, and in turn he speaks to us. And he tells us, you need humility. You need to be humble. He lives his life day by day.
don't try and accentuate how you edit. So, for example, slowing something down, or maybe using a voice-over where your subject hasn't actually told the story. These are many different techniques.
What's nice about this film is that we haven't made judgment on his life. We've kind of told the story as it is.
What we were trying to do, especially in the editing process, was to try and avoid, not gimmicks should I say, but other ways to try to tell a story that your character couldn't do so.
It's a small film about a small guy who lives in Arniston, and I think we've captured that. My role was to take the 26 hours that's arrived on my table and cut 24 minutes out of it.
We're just going through footage and saying, geez, there's so many good shots, like the cave sequence. Making this film wasn't without its excitement.
We had a few challenges, like having to scale a lighthouse, which we had to do twice, because when you got to the top the first time, after missioning for I think 2 or 3 hours, we saw some rain clouds pull in and our equipment didn't have any rain covers, so we had to go back down and do it again. Mark swimming in a huge gully after me warning him, and not being able to swim with one Z1 up in the air, not being able to swim with one hand because the rope's pulling him in, and then myself filming Johnny cutting red bait right on the rocks low, and that was meant to warn me about a wave coming.
Job, yeah.
Got clapped and lost my glasses, housing washed down the rocks, got cut on the back of my leg and my arm. Working with Mark.
Pleasure.
Oh, it's really nice to work with someone like Mark on the set. He's really on it. Mark finds this thing on every job that we go and he decides he's going to stop smoking just before that. And every morning as he wakes up, the very first word that he says, hey, it's day 11. Hey, it's day 12. He doesn't say morning, nothing. It's day 12, it's day 13, day 14. He counts them down.
Quick yoga, then I'll get my personality back.
Yeah, but you're a big bundle of joy for most of the day.
I think you can quite clearly see in this film especially, Wayne's real passion is underwater photography. And in the last film we made about surfing, and that came out very clearly. And I think a lot of the work Wayne does will always try and find a way to do underwater sequences.
Well, it adds another dimension.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in a film like this where you wouldn't have normally had a water camera on set.
I think that's what makes Wayne's filming also quite special, is that you can go from underwater to on top of water to that, and that mix makes the film come alive. The funniest things in the film actually which didn't come across is you saw this classic scene of this dog ripping out the shark. What you didn't realize is that Wayne and Scott, who you can't actually see behind the camera, took the shark and put it back in the water, and that's why you don't quite see what happens to the shark in the film. All you see is the dog take it out, but Wayne and Scott saved the shark and let it go.
I realised afterward he was so
and you'll see Scott in the film behind the scenes, like running with the shark to the one place, trying to let it go. Yeah, so it's quite funny. The biggest cricket game that ever sort of happened was happening while we were filming this film. We knew we had to go and get this final interview, but we really didn't want to go and do it. And we found this location, and our character just opened up. And it was the last interview of the last day. It was all worth it. Even though we missed the best game ever in history, we got what we wanted to get. Driving home late one night, we saw smoke coming from the community, and when I jumped in our car, raced there, and we were almost the first guys in the scene. One of the little houses in Kasibai was burning down, and we were like totally stuck between, do we film or do we help? And in the beginning we tried to grab hose pipes and wet the roof, and Wayne's trying to help them get stuff out of the house, and then we go, no, quickly grab our cameras, and it was a bit of a,
scrambling to find our characters.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do as filmmakers? Do you just get the stuff, or do you help someone? It's like, what do you do? Sometimes that's quite tough. For me, it's something that I've felt that's helped me, the healing power of nature, and I think most people realize it.
I get a tremendous input from nature. Particularly, I walk on the mountain a lot, and I feel that, you know, that the planet gives off a tremendous kind of energy and spirit.
And that's what this whole series is about, especially this film. A really real, true story.
He could easily jump up and start dancing and basically celebrating his life.
You know, we've really enjoyed making this film, and the rest of the series is going to be a success because we're so passionate about it.